morning, Sushant. You can unmute yourself.
Hello, ma'am. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
I'm good.
And when is your interview?
My interview is on 28th February.
Okay. Good timing. You can absorb and assimilate the budget properly. Okay. You like to
Right.
see warfare documentaries, huh? You like to see warfare documentaries. Can you hear me, Sushant?
Yes, ma'am. I can hear you. Am I audible?
All right. So, to your mind, tell me two, three really important and striking ones that you have seen. Maybe two of them. Just tell me. Name them.
Yes, ma'am. So, ma'am, I was telling about that the last documentary that I watched was related to Operation Ganga, which was about the evacuation of our medical students from Ukraine. And another documentary was related to how our ancient warfare was conducted. It is called Dhanur Vedam, which is mentioned in Atharva Veda as well as Rig Veda.
That's
So,
interesting. And what are the key tenets of that?
Ma'am, the key tenets of that was related to how the arms are made, means the arrows, what is the height of the arrow, how it is
Okay,
according to
okay.
the archery.
So you only see documentaries in the Indian context or international also?
Ma'am, I see international context also.
Okay. And which one has struck you the most?
Ma'am, as far as last I remember, it was related to some conflict in Syria, that how it was impacting how it was disproportionately impacting women and other children, about the conflict of US and the ISIS forces.
Every conflict does. All right. Now tell me, let's look at Mahabharata
Yes, ma'am.
as a warfare technique. What do you think of it? What comments do you have?
Uh, Ma'am, one thing that I've heard from our elders as well as, because I've not really read about Mahabharata, but I heard from my elders that Mahabharata is all about karma as well as dharma. So apart from the
I was
warfare,
talking in the context of warfare.
yes, ma'am.
Since you're interested in warfare documentaries, analyze the warfare in that. Say 3, 4 points of analysis. It has very
Uh,
interesting things there.
yes, ma'am. Ma'am, as I don't really know what is the analysis of it, but I can tell you 1 2 points about that. Ma'am, one thing is related to the Chakravyuh thing. Means the Chakravyuh is how the forces were placed in the Chakravyuh and what are the organization of the forces around the Chakravyuh. So the people, means the trad person cannot come out of it. And the other thing is related to that after, means when someone is unarmed, then he should not be attacked. So when Krishna was telling to Arjuna that after means after the war ends at some time, then if the opponent is unarmed, then you should not attack them. So these kind of
Yeah,
things that
what
I've heard.
about the kind of weapons? Is it not fascinating? They
Yes,
talk
ma'am.
of weapons which are now being used in warfare.
Yes, ma'am.
The Brahmastra and the Pashupatastra and all those things. The Agni, what is that one? I forget the name. And secondly, certain rules which continued for a long time to come, which was no warfare after sunset.
Hansa said, yes, ma'am. That's
Anyway,
what I.
all right. Okay, you've done geography as an optional, huh?
Yes, ma'am.
Most important thing today. So tell me, just guide me through the geography of the Red Sea. Which are the nations? You can start from the southwest corner, go up and down. And which are the nations on the Persian Gulf?
Ma'am, starting from the southwest corner, I can remember of South Africa. Then we have the
South Africa?
southwest corner, means if it goes,
Not South Africa. What is the nation there?
ma'am, nations, South Africa. Then we have, move ahead. We have the
We
Mozambique
are
Channel and.
looking at the Red Sea or the Persian Gulf. Which are you looking at?
Ma'am, I'm telling about
Specific
the
to.
whole.
No,
Okay.
I know the
Okay.
geography of the world.
Okay.
I want to
Okay.
know, because my questions will follow from there.
Yes,
What
ma'am.
is the what are the nations that border the Red Sea, starting from the southwest corner? You can start northeast, southeast corner, whatever you want,
Yes, ma'am.
and then the Persian Gulf.
Okay, ma'am. Now starting from the southwest corner, I can remember of the Horn of Africa, which is Ethiopia, and then we have Egypt. Then in the above we have Iraq, and then this side we have Iran. This,
Is there
this is in the
something
Red
known as the
Sea.
Gulf of
Uh,
Aden and Somalia,
yes,
which
ma'am.
has importance in the whole
Yes, ma'am.
crisis?
Yes,
All
ma'am.
right.
That's coming to it.
Then
Ma'am, Iran, and then
which one did you say? Ethiopia, huh?
yes, ma'am, on the
Huh.
corner, and then
Uh-huh.
coming this side we
Ethiopia
have
is on the
Iran.
Red Sea?
No, ma'am, it's not it's landlocked. It's not in the Red Sea, but we have Djibouti there, just close to Ethiopia
Yeah, I
and
was just
Somalia.
talking of the littoral states, the ones
Yes,
which are on the sea. Yeah.
yeah.
Djibouti after that?
And
Next?
after that, ma'am, coming to the northeast side, we have Iran, then
Eritrea,
Yemen, Eritrea.
Sudan, Egypt. Oh, come on. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Shall we try the Persian Gulf?
Yeah, sure. Ma'am, in Persian Gulf, we have Saudi Arabia, then UAE, then Kuwait, Qatar, Oman. These kind of countries are there.
These kind of
And
countries.
this side we have Pakistan also.
What? Pakistan?
Sorry, Pakistan is not in the Persian Gulf. I'm sorry.
Iran.
Iran.
Okay, so now you see how important geography is in
Yes.
understanding what's happening. Okay. And where was our IMEC touching?
Ma'am, IMEC is going through IMEC is going through Iran when it is going through the Central Asian countries. I mean the Middle East countries.
So which are the
Uh,
countries, which are the ports it will touch?
uh, Ma'am, as of now, I don't remember the ports right
Oh,
now.
doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Okay, now to come really to the main question,
Yes, ma'am.
this Red Sea crisis, is it an opportunity for India which it can really build on? Or do you think
Uh,
it's a nuisance because everything has to go through Cape of Good Hope and ships getting attacked and oil being affected, etc.? What do you think of it?
Ma'am, I think there's both opportunities as well as threat. Ma'am, if we first look at the threat, these are most of the oil that we import are from the Red Sea. But if we look at from the opportunity side, we are projecting ourselves in the Indo-Ocean as the net security provider. So if we contribute to the efforts that are being done by USA and Britain in that region, and if we contribute on our own end, then we can assure other small little states surrounding the Indian Ocean. Apart from that, and moreover, it also projects our means our aura as a Vishwamitra in the nation. I mean, in the world today.
Okay, very good. You have studied in Virginia, you have worked in Virginia too?
Ma'am, I was working as a research intern in Virginia Tech, USA.
You worked in Virginia, huh?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Okay. All right, we'll come to that. Now in Jharkhand, you're from Bihar though, these coal fires are raging for donkey's years. Why is that? You're a
Yes, ma'am.
mining person, aren't you? Aren't you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we'll
Uh,
tap your skills on how these fires are to be put out.
yes, ma'am. Uh, Ma'am, there are few gases that I would like to mention in the mining areas. So some of these gases are methane, carbon monoxide, and some other gases like other inflammable gases like coal dust also is there.
Mhm.
So what happens whenever there is a coal seam, it is embedded with the overburden weight. So these coal gases catch fire, and the methane is continuously released from the coal seams, which fuels the fires for a long time. So in mines, we have
Cannot something be done about it?
yes, ma'am, we can do something about it.
What?
Means the new technology that is coming is coal gasification. So if we try to gasify the coal under the ground only, and then we can reduce the content about the fire. Means we can reduce the amount of the fuel that is fueling the fire right now. So I think that is
Gasification means what? The coal will burn out and become inert there itself,
no, ma'am.
underground.
No,
Then
ma'am. The coal is not in a completely burned out. Means it will be charified. Whatever the coal is there, we are processing that technology that it will be compressed out, and whatever the gas is trapped inside the pores of the coal, that will be taken out.
so it'll
So
become
in this way,
charcoal.
sort of charcoal, but not exactly
But
charcoal, I
why are
would
we
say.
not doing this? There's such a lot of waste happening and also threat, danger.
Yes, ma'am. And the thing is, inside the underground, to get that much amount of technology inside the underground mines and then to compress that coal, so it creates a kind of subsidence on the our means on the surface as well. So these kind of technologies means I will just give you an example of my
We
personal
don't have the
experience.
technology. I mean, we can't have
Yes,
it
ma'am.
both ways, no? We don't have the technology as yet.
Ma'am, we don't have the technology, but the technology is not yet scalable to that level. Means on
Is
the
any
ground.
country using this technology?
Ma'am, I've heard of Australia. They have deployed this technology, and also I've heard in Germany in the uh, I don't remember the coal field. They are
But
also
by
trying
its
this
very
technology.
nature, coal will be coming from inside, right?
Yes, ma'am, coal will come from
So
inside.
the problem will be wherever there is coal, the problem will be there. It's not unique to India, isn't it?
Ma'am, there are few kinds of coal mines. There are degree one coal mines, degree two, and degree three coal mines. So what happens in degree one, the amount of methane gas that is released that is less. But in
Oh,
degree three mines, which is
okay.
Jharia,
Now tell me the greenhouse effect. Does CO2 contribute more to it or methane?
ma'am, methane is about 10 times more potential than CO2. As CO2 is a long-lived gas, but CH4 has more greenhouse potential, although it is short-lived.
So this COP28,
Yes, ma'am.
um, there are certain things that are mentioned for the first time which perhaps are not so much in our interest. What is that? It's in this context of our discussion itself.
Mhm. Ma'am, as far as I remember, I think they are talking about the phasing out of the coal, the complete phasing out of the coal technology. But in our
What is the
country,
word they have used?
right now they have used phase down of coal.
Exactly. Phase down and phase out are different.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. So
And
because
they
this is
brought
not
in
in our
methane
interest.
they brought methane for the first time.
Yes, ma'am.
Which we oppose because agriculture waste gives methane. Okay, I'll ask you the last question.
Sure, ma'am.
Do you want a political one? I think not a mineral, not a mining one, a political one. Would you prefer the north or south? What would you prefer? A question, political question.
Ma'am,
North of the Vindhyas or south of the Vindhyas? What do you want? He's frozen.
if I'm getting posted, then you're asking in that regard? No?
No, I'm asking you, I'm going to ask you a question.
Ah,
I'll
yes, ma'am.
decide myself. Okay.
Okay.
In Maharashtra, there was this issue of disqualification of legislators, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And under court directions, the speaker took a decision.
Yes, ma'am.
So I want to ask you, what were the three pillars on the basis of which he gave a decision? My second question is, what was unfinished business which now the court has directed him to do?
Ma'am, as far as I
He raised
remember,
papers.
yeah, the three pillars were the first thing is the actual party, which is the actual Shiv Sena party, and then there were allegations of the
No, what were the pillars for deciding which is the actual one? That was the
ma'am, I don't remember the pillars right now.
don't
Because I
remember. All
remember the
right.
context
And what is the
only.
unfinished agenda which the court has now directed him to do by
Ma'am,
15 February, if I'm not mistaken?
ma'am, I've not read the
No?
newspaper right
All
now.
right. Okay. Thank you. Navneet?
Morning, Sushant.
Hi, sir. Good morning.
First, your area. Now, we have recently entered into an agreement with a South American country for mining a very, very important mineral which is required by us. Can you tell me the name of the mineral and can you tell me the country?
Sir, recently Kabil has signed a memorandum of understanding with Argentina for mining the white gold, that is lithium, which is very important for the upcoming electric mobility transition.
Why was the need to sign or explore our possibilities of importing lithium from Argentina and other countries? It's very far away. It will have high transportation cost and other things. Why we are going that far?
Sir, as per the recent report in Jammu and Kashmir, we have around 5 million tons of inferred lithium resources. So right now we are not extracting it economically. And sir, as far as the logistic cost is concerned, it is all dependent on the mining economic feasibility which we are going to do and the upcoming impact on our future generations regarding the climate change and electric vehicles and clean technologies. So in that case, the lithium that is used for the rechargeable batteries, I think it will be more of a gain for us than comparing it to as a loss.
Okay. Recently, one Indian sportsman was in news this week only. Can you name the sports person and what is his achievement?
So I think you're talking about Bopanna, who had.
Tell me his full name.
Sorry, sir, I don't remember his full name. I just read the news script that something nice has happened to. I mean,
This
he
is
has
the
achieved
era of
something.
the biscuits, huh? They are always, what shall I say, microing everything.
I was just going through the newspaper and then I saw his name.
You have to go through newspapers and you have to keep yourself abreast. Now, recently, in recent past, not immediate past, but some time ago, Qatar was in news in context of India. What was the incident?
Sir, Qatar has, so as far as I remember, Qatar has announced some of the Navy personnel to, I think they have given some death sentence to the Navy personnel. And then our foreign ministry were engaged in getting access to that personnel and trying to reduce down the sentence.
Navy
And
personnel are,
uh,
when you
sir,
say Navy personnel means they are in service.
no, sir, I think they were out of the service.
Yeah, you should say ex-naval officers.
Ex-Navy.
What they were doing there?
Sir, I don't know. I mean, I'm not privy to that information.
Why were they punished? I mean, why were they were convicted by Qatar? On what charge?
Sir, as far as I remember, they were convicted on the espionage charges, that they were spying on some internal information. This
For
kind of
which
thing.
country? For which country?
Sir, I don't know that.
Okay. Okay. Can you tell me, because foreign service is your second option, that's why I'm asking these questions. Can you tell me what is China plus one strategy?
Sir, sir, I don't know, sir. To look into it.
Okay. Okay. Coming to Indian affairs. You must have read about one nation, one election.
Yes, sir.
Can you explain what you understand from it? Number one. Second, suppose the government decides to go for one nation, one election. They accept in principle. Can one nation, one election be implemented within the present constitutional framework?
Sir, one nation, one election, in simple terms, it can be defined as conducting the elections of both Lok Sabha as well as the state legislative assembly at the same time. And we should also not forget about the third tier of government, third tier of the government. And sir, you're asking about the feasibility of the simultaneous elections. So there are arguments regarding how the elections will be conducted. Means it will be the cost incurred by the Election Commission of India will be huge. So that is going to be an issue. And the another argument is that some states will have to cut short their term, which goes against the constitutional articles, Article 174(2), which has given them 5-year term. So these kind of constitutional challenges are there, which needs to be tackled. So if one nation, one election is to be implemented, then we have to look into some of the constitutional amendments before it could be actually placed on ground.
Okay. Recently, Karpuri Thakur was awarded Bharat Ratna.
Yes,
He's from your state.
yes, sir.
What was his significant contribution for which he has been awarded Bharat Ratna? He has been conferred Bharat Ratna.
Yes, sir. Sir, he has been conferred Bharat Ratna for the socio-economic upliftment of the various backward communities, or upliftment of the poverty, means the classes who are poverty stricken, and also he has also contributed in the education of the poor classes. So some social welfare schemes were also implemented. So these kind of things have ultimately uh, means helped in getting the posthumously Bharat Ratna award.
Okay. Now, continuing with Bihar.
Yes,
You
sir.
are from Bihar, you are engineer by qualification. Why Bihar is not able to come out of, what used to be called Vimaru states, whereas other states have come out of that framework. They are
Yes.
no longer part of the Vimaru states. But Bihar continues to be backward. Bihar continues to be without any significant industrialization, in spite of the fact that it is very rich in human resource.
Yes, sir. Sir, so there are n number of reasons I could state, but I would like to prioritize some of the factors right now. So one is the number of higher educational institutes, sir. The number of IITs, or means government technical funded institutions, that is very less as compared to the western as well as the southern states. And the other thing I would like to highlight, sir, the number of high net worth individuals who can actually invest in the private sector development, which is very, I mean, if I give you the data, it is 1, and it is 74 in Gujarat. So this kind of disparity is there. So these are the two main reasons. And sir, one more reason which I can think of right now is the given political instability in Bihar, the change in political regimes, which is also not creating investor confidence in the state of Bihar right now. So,
Okay, Sushant.
Okay, right, Sushant.
hi sir, good morning.
Good morning. Sushant, you do Vipassana, right?
Yes, sir.
So, can you talk about how you practice it, just briefly?
Sir, I've not actually practiced Vipassana per se, means going to the shiva and practicing it for 10 days. But when I've learned about it, then I started doing it at home. I started with 5 minutes and then gradually increased to 20 minutes right now. So what I do is I just sit, and I means let whatever the thoughts that come into mind, I just let it come. I just be a perpetual observer, and I just try to observe my thoughts and my breath, and gradually try to normalize it. So in that way, I think it has helped me a lot, sir.
So when did you last go? Did you go to the the centers to practice for 14 days? I think that's how it starts, right?
Sir, it's yes, sir. It's for 10 days, and sir, I have not yet got the opportunity. But after the interview is done, then I'm really planning for going to
Yeah,
it.
it will really help. Okay, so there is something called Samantha, and there is
Okay.
Samantha Vipassana, right? The two they normally use together, right? So can you talk about what is Samantha and what is Vipassana, if you want to differentiate the both of them?
Sorry, sir, I'm not aware about Samantha meditation, but I'm
Yes,
aware about
Samantha is
Vipassana.
basically concentration, right?
Okay.
Basically, right? And Vipassana is basically to gain insight into the reality of things, right? That is how it is. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now, the Mahayana, can you just talk about how the Mahayana tradition and the Theravada tradition differentiate Vipassana? How the practice is a little different in each?
Uh, Sir, I don't exactly remember. I don't exactly know what are the difference in these practices, but I can tell you about the Mahayana that they used to. They are the more a kind of progressive sect of Buddhism, and they used to believe in the image as well as the worship of Buddha. And Theravada, this is kind of a more conservative sect of Buddhism, and they had some kind of which they reserved themselves in
There was
just
a very
not
famous
believing.
Burmese monk which led to the the revival of Vipassana in the 20th century. Do you have any idea about which monk actually, the technique you practice and maybe your friends practice are all given by him, right? Any idea about it?
So I think you're talking about Sri S. N. Goenka ji, who has revived
No, no,
Vipassana
not
meditation.
him, not him. SN Goenka later on, right? I am talking about somebody in the 17th, 18th century
Sorry, sir,
who
then I'm not aware.
simplified Vipassana in the way it is right now.
I'm not aware of it right now, sir.
Yeah. Moving ahead, you also are very interestingly into there's something about rare earth elements
Yes, sir.
in your CV, right? Okay, so can you just name them? There's 17 of them now.
Sir, yes, sir, there are 17 of them, sir. I don't remember all of them. I can tell you the
Okay.
important ones right now.
Okay.
The neodymium, scandium, lutetium, and then
Mm-hmm.
you have dysporium, and
Mm-hmm.
another one is, so there are two other, apart from this, there are two which is in the normal periodic table. So these all 15 elements are called the lanthanide series, and then we have those two elements in the
What's
periodic
so
table.
difficult about refining them or extracting them?
Okay. Sir, first thing before talking about rare earth, it is important to know that rare earth are not exactly rare, but it is not economically feasible to mine them right now because they are scattered in various non-feasible percentage in the earth crust.
Mm-hmm.
So extracting of rare earths
The
means requires a
cerium
lot
is
of.
much more available than copper, right?
Mm, so I don't know the data, but the copper is, I think, more. Copper, I think, is more means available
Sure about
elsewhere.
that.
Yeah, not so sure about it because I have to look into the data, sir.
Okay, Sushant.
So,
So
but I would like to highlight one technology, sir.
Hmm.
When I was in USA, so they were using this technology from tailings pond. So in the coal sector, tailings pond, because all the all the gang materials get collected, and then the concentration of rare earth increases. So they are trying to extract the rare earth from there.
Yeah.
So,
That's
yeah,
how we do it.
yes,
Okay,
sir.
fine. You like warfare documentaries, right?
Right, sir.
That's very interesting. So, which war has caught your attention the most?
Sir, in the recent context, I think it was the Russia-Ukraine war that has caught my
Hey,
attention, and how.
go back, right?
Acha.
So let's go back, right? So there have been such amazing battles, Battle of Panipat,
Yes, sir.
the three of them, then so many others. The world wars,
The
right?
world war, right, sir.
Right.
Yeah.
So, going back, which battle has caught your imagination and why?
Okay, sir. In the historical context, I think World War II was the most one because
Okay. And
yeah.
which battle in World War II?
Uh, so the battle that was fought on the northern side of the Poland. I don't exactly remember the name of the battle, but it was Poland, and it was very nicely strategized by the Berlin forces. Is they waited for a year long, and they waited for the Poland army and the French army to come together so that they could attack them from the back. So these kind of strategic maneuver that was done by the Berlin forces right now. So that thing I learned.
Right. Oh, man.
Okay. Geography optional. Fine.
Yes,
I hope you've been reading the newspapers.
yes, ma'am.
Great. So recently there was this article about a specific lake in Senegal which is turning pink and almost on the verge of disappearing. Are you aware of it?
No, I'm not aware of it right now.
Okay. How about this term which was in news? There's this shallow soda lake that was in news. It has been found in Canada. Are you aware of it?
No, ma'am.
Okay, okay. Fine. Let's move on to something easier. So there was this article in the newspaper which categorically stated that this year there has been very less amount of snowfall in let's say J&K and Ladakh regions.
Yes,
Why
ma'am.
do you think that is the case?
Yes, ma'am. I'm aware about this article, and it is related to the Western disturbances. Means the number of Western disturbances that has impacted our country this year is very less. I think it is negligible right now till the end of January.
Mhm.
So, but however, this has led to the reduction in rainfall. But however, the cold means the cool temperatures they are intensifying. This is because of the subsidence of air that is happening. So these two reasons were stated.
So
And
there's this one reason or two reasons, I want to be sure. So because of Western disturbances, what is happening?
my Western disturbances, the snowfall, the moisture that is moisture content that the Western disturbances bring with them, that is very less right now in India. So this has led to the reduction in rainfall.
Okay. Do you think there's any other reason that you could think of that this is happening?
No, ma'am, I can't think of any other reason right now.
Okay, okay. Now, what role did Western disturbances play last year? You know, last year there was so much flash floods in the northern part of India. Right? There was so much of rainfall, to be very precise. What role do you think Western disturbances played over there?
Ma'am, as of my limited knowledge, what I can think of right now is that Western disturbances they bring moisture from the Mediterranean Sea and uh, means the variable freezing and thawing of the ices, the variable
No,
freezing
but
and
then
thawing
my
glaciers.
concern is Western disturbances are more or less a winter phenomena, right? But the
Uh,
rainfalls happened in summer. So do you think there's a relation? Are you sure?
Ma'am, Western disturbances per se, these are not a winter phenomena. They are present throughout the, throughout the throughout the year. And when the IT season shifts northward, then the Western disturbances. Ma'am, I was telling you that Western disturbances that they can be, they are present throughout the year, and during the summer's time they are shifted upwards. Means they apparently means they get invisible. So maybe it's because of the alternate freezing and thawing of the ices that have resulted in the glacial outlet burst that happened last year, or maybe last year.
Are we talking about the glacial lake outburst only?
No, ma'am, the extreme rainfall events that happen, or the intense rainfall that is happening in Uttarakhand and the Himachal Pradesh region. We're talking about that.
Okay, fine. Since we're talking about Jammu Kashmir and Ladakh, there's this river that was in news couple of days back from Ladakh, Zanskar River. Are you aware of why it was in news?
Ma'am, I'm aware about the river, but not aware about the news per se. Why
Okay.
it was in news.
Fine. Let's talk about something easier. Now, last year there were a couple of earthquakes that were in news, right? Turkey earthquake, Moroccan earthquake, Japan earthquake.
Mhm.
Are you aware of the differences? What was the actual difference in
ma'am.
all the three earthquakes?
Ma'am, as far as I remember, the Turkey earthquake, it was related to the uh, uh, transform faulting that is present between that is present between the Arabian plate and the northern plate and the Eurasian plate, and in Japan it is related to the uh, subducting of the Pacific plate in the Indo-Australian plate that is present. I mean the Eurasian plate that is present. And one third, I'm not aware about the Moroccan plate right now.
Okay. How about the difference between when I say heat wave and marine heat waves? Do you know the difference? Can you quote any example that was seen this year in context of India?
Ma'am, heat wave in Bihar context, we talked about the Lu, if I'm not wrong, and marine heat waves means I'm just trying to comprehend from the terminology that marine heat wave may be related to the heated air mass that comes from the marine side.
Okay.
So
Was there any
maybe, yeah,
water body associated with it this year in Indian context?
ma'am, I'm not aware about any water body right now.
Okay, okay, fine. Let's move on to something that you would know about. Now we've recently spoken about lithium. आपने जवाब भी दिए हैं. Now we're all aware that J&K में there was this lithium thing that was in news, right? Now it like we'll not be able to extract it as of now, right? Because there are certain stages in mining that happens. What is the stage that it is currently in?
Ma'am, it is at the inferred stage that it is in currently.
Okay.
And then as we go ahead and drill, yeah. Sorry. Ma'am, as we go ahead in the mining process and we drill more boreholes and then get more data about the ore body, what is the strike, what is its depth, then we move ahead to the proved phase and the extraction phase. So these are the
Okay.
various stages.
There was this another state जिसके बारे में lithium news में था कि वहां पे भी inferred stage में ही है. What was the state? Can you recall the state?
Ma'am, if I'm not wrong, I think it is Jharkhand, I guess.
Okay, fair. Now, since we're talking about lithium, right? I want to know, is that a critical element? Or do you think it's a rare
ma'am.
earth metal?
No, ma'am, it is a critical element.
Okay. What are critical elements exactly?
Ma'am, they're not in mining. We don't have any particular definition regarding a critical element. But as far as the strategy of India, as far as the strategy of nation or the energy security is concerned, or the national security is concerned, we define some of the elements as critical elements for our coming progress or strategic security. So in that we have our nuclear resources or lithium, or we also have this kyanite mineral. So these kind of resources we place in the critical elements, and we have some another acts as well. Which, the MFDR Act, these don't apply to these kind of critical elements. We have Atomic Energy Acts, these kind of acts that apply to these minerals.
Okay. Now, there's this term called lithium triangle, right? What are the countries associated with it?
Argentina, Bolivia, and Chile.
क्या इंडिया ने कोई स्टेप्स लिए हैं लिथियम ट्रायंगल की कंट्रीज के साथ इन टर्म्स ऑफ एनी एग्रीमेंट्स और एमओयूज? Are you aware of it?
Yes, ma'am. Kabul has signed a memorandum of understanding with Argentina to get lithium, means to extract lithium using that pond. Sorry, ma'am, am I audible?
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Please continue.
Ma'am, to extract that lithium from pond heating method. There are two kinds of method from which we extract. So one is pond heating and the ion exchange method right now.
Okay. I think, yeah, that's it. Thank you so much, Kumar sir.
Okay. जी सुशांत कैसे हैं? Very good morning to you.
Good morning, sir.
So Sushant, you like watching warfare. आपने जैसे mention किया अपने hobbies में. Have you watched Narcos? Netflix पे कभी मौका लगा देखने का?
Yes, I was not.
अच्छा, उसमें पाब्लो एस्कोबार एक लाइन कहते हैं. He says that कि war is necessary for peace. मतलब शांति का संतुलन बनाने के लिए युद्ध करना जरूरी है. क्या विचार हैं आपके? What do you think about it? Do you think so that war is a necessary evil?
Sir, I beg to differ from what Pablo Escobar said. Means war is, I think war should be done at a very extreme step when it is completely non-negotiable between the parties. But I think deterrence is the most correct term if you want to establish peace in the current geopolitical scenario. Because if you look at this war right now in the Israel-Hamas war, a lot of civilians are getting killed. So that goes against the war ethics as well, sir.
Right. Okay. अच्छा, Sushant, what do you understand by hybrid warfare? आजकल ये टर्म सुना होगा आपने, hybrid warfare.
Yes, sir. Sir, in the conventional warfare, we used to have weapons and arms and ammunition kind of things. And in the current era, we are now talking about space warfare, drone warfare. We're also talking about the cyber warfare. So all these terms that have inculcated and given a new term called the hybrid warfare.
What about social media warfare? Do you believe that is also another dimension? The propaganda, the social media propaganda?
I think, sir, yes, social media is also emerging arena of warfare. Means the misinformation, the disinformation that is propagated on social media regarding some specific communities or specific audience. So this can also trigger violence.
कोई ऐसा एग्जाम्पल जो आपको याद आ रहा हो जहां पे सोशल मीडिया वॉरफेयर को हम कह सकते हैं कि ये एग्जाम्पल जस्टिफाई करता है?
Sir, if I talk about the riots that has happened in India as well, so I can recall about the Muzaffarpur riots that was spread through the social disinformation on the social media that was there spreading on Facebook. So on a small scale, it is a riot, but if you look at it on a larger scale, if this kind of disinformation is propagated, then it could lead to definitely a war.
No, now let's understand one thing, Sushant, that social media पे जो propaganda होता है, disinformation होता है, does that
Right.
necessarily means that on ground two people or two communities are fighting? Now, I'm sure you must have heard about the India Out campaign. That was also social media propaganda.
Yes, sir.
That didn't resulted in
Yes, sir.
India and Maldives fighting with each other. So is it very necessary that social media warfare will involve weapons or fighting with each other, two combatants, or disinformation or propaganda is more lethal than the conventional warfare? What are your views about it?
Okay. Sir, if we talk about the India Out campaign, it was on social media and it was particularly targeting the Indian communities that were placed in Maldives. Sir, if we talk about the lethality, then of course conventional warfare is having a lead in that because the number of people who die. But I do believe that in social media warfare, it has the potential to create that lethality. Means if it is propagated in that way, or it is propagated in such circumstances that it is fueling a already communal fight, then it could be lethal. And sir, so I think these are the 2 points.
Okay. My last question to you, Sushant, is that do you believe that Israel is a natural ally of India? हम न्यूज में कई बार पढ़ते हैं कि इजराइल इंडिया रिलेशंस अब थोड़ा इवॉल्व हुआ है, तो न्यूज में कई बार आता है कि इजराइल इज अ नेचुरल अलाय फॉर इंडिया ऑफ इंडिया. डू यू एग्री विद दिस?
Sir, as of now, I beg to differ from this statement that Israel is a natural ally from India, because with the current circumstances, the relationship is evolving, and we are trying to test how we are trying to go ahead with by cooperating with Israel in different sectors. But we have to wait and watch how this relationship evolves. And if we talk about the natural ally, then looking from the historical perspective, we have Russian forces supporting us in the 1971 war and other wars as well. So if that definition applies to Israel and India relation, then I would not say that India and Israel are natural allies.
No, but are you aware that Israel supported India in the Kargil war in 99? And also, Israel has also, labeled Lashkar-e-Taiba as a terrorist organization. We haven't labeled Hamas as a terrorist organization, but Israel has labeled Lashkar-e-Taiba as a terrorist organization. Israel also gave support to India in the 1961 and 71 war. So isn't that quite a reason for India and Israel to consider themselves as natural allies? Support तो किया है इजराइल ने, रशिया ने किया है, तो इजराइल ने भी किया है पहले.
Yes, sir.
So doesn't that sort of justifies India and Israel to be natural allies of each other?
Sir, in this context, I would believe that India and Israel is a natural ally, but ultimately we have to wait and watch because I think in geopolitics, the things change very rapidly. It's whatever is happening right now. So, in this context, I think I should, in my opinion, my firm opinion, that India should focus more on its deterrence side, building more on its capabilities and defense indigenization kind of thing, than looking for a natural ally. Kind of.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. So now the Inquisition is over. What did you think? How did you think you fared? Sushant,
I think I was unable to answer to.
Sorry?
Ma'am, I think I fared. I was unaware about the certain facts, and somewhere in the starting also I felt some stuck. Then I think the interview went smoothly.
So first of all, you must remember that if you don't know everything, don't worry. That's not a criminal thing. What is more important is what you know and what you should know. Another point is how categorically you should say a yes or a no upfront in an opinion question. I was listening to the debate. I'll give the last question in point about natural ally. Your response was no, straight away. So, and then you got stuck. I'm personally inclined to agree with you, with your net conclusion, but not by the process that you have done. A better way to answer is to look at both sides and then come to a conclusion. Otherwise you get trapped like you got. And I would say that, okay, there is a commonality. Of course, in politics, an enemy is also a friend. But then your Middle East Arab countries, they are the source of oil for you. And oil is what drives our foreign policy, or should drive our foreign policy, right? Though,
Yes, ma'am.
the terror part, Muslim fundamentalism, terror, there we have a commonality. But net of what has Israel done, or what we can take from them, I mean, they're supporting us internationally doesn't matter at all, because Israel is a virtual pariah. But, in certain areas like surveillance, electronic surveillance, I mean, you look at Pegasus and that field, or in the field of military tactics, etc. I mean, those are areas where we can get help, though it does not necessarily mean that that makes it a natural ally. But then there are always two sides.
Yep.
So I'm just explaining, because the other member, he took a line of questioning. There are always two sides. So don't take a position like that early. Then you get stuck later. Okay. Because sometimes you're being tested. You're just being tested as to how mature is your decision making, right? How open is your ability to see all points of view. Okay. And I'm sure you must be wishing that geography was not your optional. You need to prepare a bit on that. Huh? Your optional, you certainly need to prepare. You need to read the papers. You need to read the papers more seriously. I mean, you need to make points. I don't know, you young people, even the candidate before you, had a glance at the papers, but he had not really gone into it in depth. You do, I mean, that's the basic stuff for which your interview is going to be. And where it intersects with your DAF, for sure you'll get it. But current affairs, what is being looked for in an IAS officer is somebody who's aware of what's happening around and who knows in depth and is able to make an opinion on it, right? But for that, a cursory reading is not enough.
Yes,
you have to prepare. Identify topics and prepare them properly. Prepare your data point. Prepare pros and cons on those, right? Then, I think, Navneet, I think the question was asked on US election. I'm not sure if it was. But I think you asked, didn't you? So that's, you've been in Virginia. So that parallel may be asked, because that process will be ongoing. We talk of one election, one nation, one election. Though I'm happy that you were the first candidate who has mentioned, you mentioned the third tier also, didn't you? In one nation, one election, you mentioned, though of course you let it by after that. But develop that a little more, because that will add a new dimension to your reply, which nobody's giving. Which struck me. What is the implication of that third dimension? Of your third tier, your local government, your panchayats, your municipalities, etc. Okay. Now your mining, of course, was discussed considerably. I would also give it a little more practical application of your Silkyara tunnel, techniques of mining, the rat hole mining, or Sikkim. What happened? You know what happened in Sikkim? Are you aware?
Yes, ma'am. Recently there was a news that few rat hole miners were trapped and
no, not Sikkim miners were trapped. Sikkim there was an overrun in the Chungthang Valley. There was a flash flood sort of a situation arising from one water body. Okay. So see, these stuff that comes in the news, which arises from your DAF, you must know. You must know these things. Then warfare, of course. You should know all about it. Now you've got a documentary, so techniques of warfare, interesting. And hybrid warfare, of course. I mean, propaganda is a very, very, very important part always, and more so now, because the tools for propaganda have become so sophisticated. And many wars are won by the US is a master in that. You never get the Russian version in the Ukraine crisis or warfare. You only get the Western version. That's also example of that. Well, the Red Sea and the Persian Gulf geography, I mean, you should know. You should know. And you should know where...
Right now, I'm able to recall everything. But when you asked me, I got stuck. I was not expecting that question.
You were running up and down. You move from one side to the other, you will get it. And where does the IMEC touch? What are the pressure points? What are really that will lift your performance beyond the ordinary. Some mug karke jayenge, Red Sea, Gaza, ye sab. But as a student of geography, if you add this extra dimension of your insight, that will be winning you extra points. Then mining. Mining, yeah, you're pretty good, but it's good to have data. Once again, that will get you extra points. So if you prepare data beforehand, in terms of quantities, in terms of this, it'll be very helpful. Critical list, of course, the lady will tell you. There is a critical list. Then I asked you Maharashtra, didn't I? which
Ah,
you expressed a touching ignorance on.
yes, ma'am.
The three pillars of
Yeah.
the speaker's judgment,
Yes,
by
ma'am.
which he did not disqualify the Shinde faction. Well, first of all, he relied on the 99 constitution. He did not go on the 2018 constitution, which would have helped the other faction. Secondly, he went only by the legislative party strength, though the Supreme Court had said you have to see which strength counts, the total membership or the legislative party. And the third was the role of the Pramukh.
Oh,
Now, the unfinished business which the court has directed them to do is now on the NCP, Ajit Pawar faction, whether to discuss. So please read the papers intelligently. This is in today's paper.
yes, ma'am.
Please read the papers intelligently. Bihar, you should be fully familiar with caste census. Where we should not get into the domain of politics, but the flip-flop by the chief minister. I mean, is there anything in the constitution? Do you think there should be legislation on the lines of the anti-defection law? Do you think or do you not think? Pros, cons? These are questions that I would leave you to think about, because a lot of developments may take place between now and then. It is actually very interesting, shall I say? Here, there, here today, there tomorrow, where somewhere tomorrow, and he's the past master in that. So I think these are areas. Otherwise, you're a very promising candidate, very, very promising. You're articulate. You have a nice personality, very pleasing personality. All that is very good. But little more hard work is needed, Sushant. I was interested. I don't know. If somebody asked me the battle, I would have loved. You know what I would have said? I would have said Rezingla, where 26 or 28 Indian soldiers of the Kumar regiment, they held at bay, I think, something like 1,200 to 2,000 Chinese. And Major Shaitan Singh got the Paramveer Chakra. So the valor, it's a good idea when you're doing war. Look at a Paramveer Chakra chaps and just take those battles, or Abdul Hamid, or anybody. But Rezingla is the ultimate in bravery. And they were all people from the plains, They were Jats of Haryana, here, there, everywhere. And they were at 18,000 feet. And they were discovered by the patrol party later. They were all frozen and still in combat position with bullets in their chests. So it was so amazing and hair-raising, So I would suggest that some real good examples of Indian valor you should know. I would have loved to hear that. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. I'll definitely go and read about it.
If you gain by it, nothing can stop you from getting it.
I'll
Okay,
definitely read more about it, ma'am. Yeah.
A person has covered most of the thing. I'll reiterate that you have to read current affairs.
Yes.
You are not aware of the full name of Rohan Bopanna, who won the doubles Australian Open, and that's a feat because at that age, he's almost 40 years old now.
43,
so that is an
he says.
achievement.
43. Yeah.
So that's an achievement. So that you should know, because it is all over newspapers. His photograph is, published almost half a page. Photographs are published in many newspapers. So you must know that. Similarly, when I asked you a question on elections, one nation, one election, I asked you a specific question. You answered it in a roundabout fashion. Said whether the present constitutional scheme will allow one nation, one elections to go through. So the simple answer would have been that it will need amendments rather than, so you have to be very, very knowing fully about that. Similarly, Bihar, why it continues to be a backward state. So read about Bihar. There's not only one reason. There are many reasons for Bihar remaining backward. You said that there is only one millionaire in so many people, and Gujarat, you compared with Gujarat. That's not the, and maybe one of very, I will say, minor factor. There are many major factors in Bihar not coming out of the definition of bimaral states. So read current affairs, especially India's bilateral relations, because IFS is your second choice. So they're bound to be questioned. World affairs, what is happening world around, and by the time your interview is there, many more things will happen. So you have to read newspapers very carefully. With that, I think you should be able to do well. You have a good personality. You answer well. You should be able to do well. Thank you.
Right. Sushant, we need to prepare our hobbies and
Okay.
prepare them well, right? There are opportunities. So when we're talking about Vipassana, right? Uh, now, remember, whatever hobby you mentioned, it doesn't matter whether you even do it or you don't do it. Okay, frankly. But if you're not prepared, that comes out, off as like, yeah, so is Sushant even interested? Okay, and that is like you have worked too hard to reach here to, get that, give that impression, right? So prepare it thoroughly, theoretically first. Okay, practically, obviously, it's different. Okay, but remember, see, if you're not, technically sound in your hobby, they will gouge in a second, right? So at least theoretically, you should be thorough. You should have read everything. You should have thought of, okay, what questions can be asked on the hobby at least. At least a list of 50 questions has to be prepared. But till the depth of 50 questions, the hobby has to be prepared. Okay. And let's say, the war documentaries, right? There's so many things. Ma'am gave a very nice example, right? But, you can actually think of various, heroic stories and then figure out which one you want to talk about, right? And the world wars, see, you should mention the battle, the date, the two opposing armies, the size of the armies, right? The impact, etc. of the war, right? That is how you're expected to go through. Okay, so that's and be comfortable, saying I don't know. Like this, cerium is much more abundant than copper, right? If you just open up, right, the books or even Wikipedia, you'll get that. Okay, right? So that's the main thing, right? And if you have mentioned a word like, let's say, rare earth metals or something, right, you should be very thoroughly prepared.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, because that's something easily, obviously you understand that, that's something that it can be easily be asked. So the theoretical framework is expected. The opinion question is like, okay, you might be good at it, you might not be. That is through practice. But theoretical part is expected that you should answer, right? Okay. Right. Especially initially, what your ma'am was asking about Red Sea, and you mentioned first South Africa, then you went into the Persian Gulf countries. I think maybe a communication error. I'm not sure what happened there.
Yes, sir. Starting, I fumbled. Means starting.
It was like,
Yeah.
okay, I was like, what's happening, right? Okay. Ma'am.
Hi, Sushant.
Hi, ma'am.
Couple of things. Most of it everybody has covered. I have a couple of things to say. So, when I look at you, for example, if you're entering the room, it looks like you're here for serious business. You look like a serious candidate. But looks won't do it all. You'll have to work on it, right? Now, how do we ensure that your whatever it looks like it is also delivered? You brush up on your current affairs. That is something that you will be able to do. When is your interview?
Ma'am, 28th February.
So you still have time. That can be done. सेकेंड थिंग जो हमें कुछ चीजों पे ध्यान देना है सो दैट पहले दो स्टेप्स हमें और ज्यादा बढ़िया आउटपुट दें. पहला, थिंक इन टर्म्स ऑफ स्ट्रक्चर्स. लेट्स से कि आपको कोई आंसर नहीं आता. ए, यू से कि नहीं आता. बी, अगर आप आंसर देने का सोच रहे हैं, थिंक इन टर्म्स ऑफ स्ट्रक्चर. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, मैम ने आपसे महाभारत के वॉरफेयर की बात की. बहुत बहुत अच्छा पॉइंट आपने दिया चक्रव्यूह का. इट्स अ वैल्यू एडिशन. बट अगर आप इसको स्ट्रक्चर के टर्म्स में सोचें, फॉर एग्जांपल वॉरफेयर इन टर्म्स ऑफ टेक्निक्स, इन टर्म्स ऑफ वेपन्स, इन टर्म्स ऑफ रूल्स, ये चीज जरूर करनी. जैसे आप मेंस के आंसर्स लिखते हैं, आप स्ट्रक्चर के टर्म्स में सोचते हैं. यहां क्योंकि हमें एकदम से आंसर देना होता है, हम स्ट्रक्चर्स इमेजिन नहीं करते. टेक अ पॉज, है ना, टेक कपल ऑफ सेकंड्स, थिंक्स इन टर्म्स ऑफ स्ट्रक्चर्स एंड आंसर. दैट विल बी अ वैल्यू एड टू योर प्रिपरेशन. दूसरी चीज, आपने कई जगह पे शब्द यूज किए हैं लाइक फर्म बिलीफ. व्हेन यू से फर्म बिलीफ, काउंटर क्वेश्चन शुरू हो जाएगा, राइट? सिमिलरली आपने आई बिलीव यूर टॉकिंग अबाउट कहा, राइट? या आपने कहा सर इफ यू वांट टू एस्टैब्लिश, नो, यू शुडंट बी यूजिंग सच टर्म्स, राइट? जब भी आप पैनल मेंबर्स को एड्रेस कर रहे हैं, राइट? क्योंकि दीज टर्म्स ऑल्सो पोर्ट्रे कि कहीं ना कहीं आप नो इट ऑल जैसे दिखते हो, विच इज नॉट द केस. इट इज जस्ट कि आपको यूजेज का अंदाजा नहीं है. रिस्पेक्ट इज ऑल्सो वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. तो ये कुछ चीजें हैं जो आपको अपनी पर्सनैलिटी में ऐड करनी पड़ेगी. ऑलवेज think about क्या words आपको use नहीं करने हैं, क्या करने हैं. Have a list. That's not a bad thing to do, right? तो ये कुछ चीजें अगर आप करते हैं, that will be a very good thing. Also, one very specific point that I want to point out. So let's say there were questions जो आपको नहीं आते थे. There were questions जिन पे you worked out कि maybe आपको आता हो. But then there were questions you were very confident कि आपको answers आते हैं. At that point of time, for that certain questions, you seemed to be very confident, but then you had this laugh, smile sort of thing in your face, right? At your face, it looked like कि आपको already आता है, and you feeling very, very confident, and it looked like you're feeling like a know-it-all. Ki, sir, I believe what you're talking about is this. That shouldn't happen. You know, stand in front of the mirror and see कि आप answer कैसे कर रहे हो. Your body language will also be a very important part. Right? तो इन चीजों पे आपको focus करना है. Content पे तो आप कर सकते हो. Right? How you respect everybody, how you, the usage of words, the way you're very precise, the way you structure answers, ये बहुत important चीजें हैं along with the content. So I think इनमें से कुछ चीजों पे भी अगर आप काम करेंगे तो आप आगे बढ़ सकते हैं. Thank you so much. कुबेर सर?
जी सुशांत, so overall it was good. काफी आपने कॉन्फिडेंटली चीजों को आंसर किया. बाकी काफी सारी बातें राधना मैम ने, वरुण सर ने, नवनीत सर ने और श्रद्धा मैम ने कही हैं. सो आई आस्क्ड यू 3 क्वेश्चंस. पहली बात तो जब हमने वॉर वाली बात करी, देखिए आप ये भी कह सकते हैं कि सर जो कॉस्ट ऑफ वॉर है उसमें काफी इनोसेंट लोग मारे जाते हैं, सिपाही मारे जाते हैं, सोल्जर्स मारे जाते हैं. युद्ध करना, बिकॉज देखिए महाभारत में भी अब भगवान कृष्ण जी ने अर्जुन को कहा था कि अगर आपको तीर उठाना है, चाहे वो अपने रिश्तेदारों के प्रति ही उठाना है, तो उसमें कोई गलत बात नहीं है. तो आप ऐसे आंसर शुरू कर सकते हैं कि सर वॉर नेसेसिटी होता है, ये तो हम बात महाभारत में, रामायण में भी देखते हैं. लेकिन जो कॉस्ट ऑफ वॉर है, चाहे वो इंडिया पाकिस्तान हो, चाहे वो इजराइल हमास हो, वो कॉस्ट ऑफ वॉर में काफी सारे बेचारे बेगुनाह लोग मारे जाते हैं, सिपाही मारे जाते हैं, उनकी भी फैमिलीज हैं. लेकिन वॉर अपने आप में गलत बात नहीं है. ये बात महाभारत में हमने पढ़ी है. अच्छा, दूसरी बात, जब सोशल मीडिया की बात आती है, देखिए सोशल मीडिया प्रोपेगेंडा बहुत ही घातक है. क्योंकि घातक क्यों है? बिकॉज आज के टाइम पे व्हाट्सएप यूनिवर्सिटी, इंस्टाग्राम यूनिवर्सिटी पे सोशल मीडिया वॉरियर्स बैठे हैं. अब हो क्या रहा है कि आज मैं कोई पोस्ट डाल दूंगा, तो ना भड़कना, इंसाइट होना, तो यहाँ पे 50 लोग भड़क जाएंगे. तो मैं अगर मान लीजिए मेरे को 1000 लोग फॉलो करते हैं ट्विटर पे या इंस्टाग्राम पे, मैंने कोई पोस्ट डाल दिया कि आज आप जंतर मंतर पे पहुंच जाइए, ये करना है वो करना है, वो 50 लोग पहुंच जाएंगे. उनके हाथ में चाकू है, डंडा है, कुछ भी है. तो यानी कि कन्वेंशनल वॉरफेयर में हम बंदूक लेके जाते हैं, सिपाही जो होते हैं बंदूक लेके जाते हैं, आर्मी के सिपाही होते हैं. लेकिन यहाँ पे मैं लोगों को खुलेआम हथियार दे रहा हूं और एक पोस्ट डाल के लोगों को इंसाइट कर रहा हूं, तो ये भी बहुत घातक है. तो हाइब्रिड वॉरफेयर की बात जहां पे हमने करी, आपने बिल्कुल सही बोला कि कन्वेंशनल वॉरफेयर और नॉन कन्वेंशनल वॉरफेयर का डिफरेंस बताया. लेकिन यहां पे ये समझे कि जब आप सोशल मीडिया प्रोपेगेंडा की बात कर रहे हैं, तो उसकी जो लिथैलिटी है वो भी आप अच्छी तरह से समझ के बताएं. और जहां पे जो थर्ड क्वेश्चन था इजराइल और इंडिया वाला, आपने जो बात कही वो ठीक था कि भाई इट इज वेरी सून टू से कि भाई इजराइल और इंडिया के बीच में कोई भाईचारा है, बहुत मोहब्बत है, एटसेट्रा एटसेट्रा. लेकिन यू शुड नो दैट इजराइल हैज हेल्प्ड अस इन द पास्ट. यदि आप रशिया वाली बात कर रहे हैं कि रशिया ने 1971 में भारत की मदद, सोवियत यूनियन ने भारत की मदद की थी, तो लेट्स नॉट फॉरगेट कि 65, 71, 99 ये 3 युद्ध में, लड़ाइयां में इजराइल ने भी, मतलब हम आज तक 2 स्टेट सोल्यूशन कहते आए हैं, फाइन, हम उस स्टैंड पे आज भी अटल हैं 2 स्टेट सोल्यूशन पे, पैलेस्तीन और इजराइल का. लेकिन इजराइल ने काफी सारी बातें ऐसे हमारे हित में करी हैं. अगर हम मिडल ईस्टर्न गल्फ कंट्रीज को भी देखें, तो गल्फ कंट्रीज ने काफी सालों तक पाकिस्तान को ही सपोर्ट किया था, चाहे वो कश्मीर का मुद्दा है या कुछ भी है. लेकिन इजराइल ने एटलीस्ट गुडविल के तौर पे तो हमारी सहायता करी है, सपोर्ट करी है. अग्रीड दैट इट विल बी टू सून टू से कि आज हम नेचुरल अलाइज बन जाए, आई एग्री, बट यू शुड ऑलवेज गिव द अदर साइड एज वेल कि सर ऐसी ऐसी बातें हैं, बट आई बिलीव दैट दिस रिलेशन इज स्टिल इवॉल्विंग, इट विल बी वेरी सून टू से दैट. तो ये कुछ बात जी.
Okay. Thank you very much. All the very best.
Thank you, ma'am.